CBS News has learned that Israeli officials have told administration officials that what they hope to achieve in southern Lebanon, in that area where Hezbollah is to create some sort of a buffer zone they believe could be about 3 or 4 miles long if they target that area quite heavily. But we understand that the administration has made it clear that they think if that is indeed something Israel tries to do, it could provoke an all-out war with Hezbollah, something the United Nations has called apocalyptic.
Well, there's going to be an all-out war with Hezbollah. And all of the actions that we've seen from the Israeli government has made that clear. And now the US has made some moves that make it even clearer. So as fighting between the Israeli Defense Forces and Hezbollah escalates, the United States has announced that they've begun moving US forces closer to Israel's border with Lebanon. The forces are also supposed to help evacuate American citizens in the area should that need to happen as a result of an escalated war with Hezbollah. Now, according to the US Navy, the USS Wasp and its Amphibious Ready Group, which include the 24th Marine Expeditionary Unit, moved into the Mediterranean Sea. Concerns of escalation between Israel and Hezbollah led the US to move the ships further into the eastern Mediterranean. The second official said, as Israeli officials have said, that they are prepared for intense action in southern Lebanon. CNN is also reporting that the US State Department once again urged American citizens to strongly reconsider travel to Lebanon, warning that the security environment remains complex and can change quickly. The US has not ordered the evacuation of US citizens in that area for now, but the White House is planning for that possibility. And then finally, just to give you a sense of what was in recent history in regard to a similar conflict, in 2006, during the last war between Israel and Hezbollah, the State Department ordered a non-combatant evacuation of American citizens in Lebanon. They ultimately ended up evacuating 15,000 people. And look, the reason why I'm bringing this up is, so far in this war, the Biden administration has failed to use its leverage to secure a ceasefire. And they've also failed in containing this war so it doesn't spread into a broader war with other sovereign countries. And it appears that it's almost inevitable that Israel is going to go to war with Hezbollah in Lebanon. Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team.
Yeah, and that seems certain from the reporting now. Obviously, we hope that it could be avoided through some sort of miracle. But I'm going to tell you why I think it's more likely in a second. But sometimes you'll hear me say on the show, that's a target-rich environment. It's an old quote from Don Rumsfeld, of all people, when they asked him in a meeting at the White House, why do you want to attack Iraq when Al-Qaeda's in Afghanistan? And Saddam Hussein is actually against Al-Qaeda. And he said, that's because Iraq is a target-rich environment. So we have a lot of things to bomb there, and then defense contractors will make more money, etc. It's really, really sick, right? So now what's happening in Israel? Well, Gaza's destroyed. 85% of the people are homeless. Almost all the buildings are knocked down. All the universities are destroyed. All the schools, everything is gone, right?
Hospitals.
So now Lebanon is a target-rich environment. It allows Netanyahu to keep the war going. Now, in Gaza, they've already not only destroyed everything, but they said that when they went into Rafah, they were gonna end Hamas, but they haven't. They haven't gotten the Hamas leadership. They've barely gotten anybody in Hamas. So now that's embarrassing. Plus, he's got to keep the war going, otherwise there's gonna be an election and he's definitely going to lose. So he has to go start a different war. Now, it's not that Hezbollah is not also firing back missiles, they are, right? But sometimes the reporting drives me crazy. They will admit in the 27th paragraph of the article, yes, Israel has killed a lot of the Hezbollah leaders in Lebanon, and that is why Hezbollah is firing missiles. But in the headline and in the top couple of paragraphs, they're like, Hezbollah with the bombs going into Israel, as if like they're just out of nowhere decided to do that. If they wanted to attack Israel, they would have been part of October 7th, but they weren't. That's a fact that they just can't get rid of. Netanyahu is the one that's agitating for this war. Now, why do we think that it's almost certain? Because of what Anna just told you. If you read the details, our officials went and talked to the Israeli officials and said, we're giving you our guarantee. We're going to back you if you do this war. We're not going to put ground troops in, kind of. We have the Wasp there and other things to rescue Americans once Israel starts a war that might get them killed. So we'll rescue whichever Americans we can if they're not already dead in this war. But we're not going to have ground troops. But whatever you need, America, yet again, blank check. You need money, you need weapons to start this, what is an apocalyptic war in the Middle East. Joe Biden's ready and willing to serve Israel.
I mean, is he? I'm at this point curious.
Who's actually in charge?
Who's making the decisions?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's Jill Biden who's ready to give a blank check to Israel. I don't know if it's Blinken. I don't know. It's definitely not Kamala Harris. She's also out to lunch. So, and look, I know look, guys, it's not a Republican thing. It's not like, oh, deep state stuff. But there is an administrative state that every president has, Republicans and Democrats. And the president usually makes the big decisions and they make all the small decisions. But is the president even making the big decisions here? Did they check with him to make sure that he's giving Israel a blank, green lighting them? Because guys, it's not like these miscommunications don't happen if it's a miscommunication. You remember the story of our ambassador to Iraq during the first Persian Gulf War, right before the war, she greenlit Saddam Hussein going into Kuwait. Now, to this day, people don't know, was that an accident, a miscommunication? Or did she mean to do that so that we could seem like the saviors coming in to rescue Kuwait, et cetera, and establish more boots on the ground? I don't know, and it's not important. But what is important is when your top administration officials tell the Israelis, green light, that means green light, start the war.
That's exactly right. Well, speaking of blank checks, the other thing I wanted to do an update on is the humanitarian pier that the United States built off the coast of Gaza continues to fail. So it has been basically put out of commission as weather has become bad in the area again. And so let's get to those details. So the US is once again dismantling that pier due to bad weather, and that's according to reports from US officials. This is now the third time that they have been forced to halt humanitarian operations since it began working 6 weeks ago. US taxpayers footed the bill for that to the tune of $230 million, and it has never helped to facilitate the volume of humanitarian aid that Palestinians need in order to survive in Gaza. And so here are some more details on the many struggles with this pier.
Well, not only is the $230 million US military-built pier being dismantled yet again because of bad weather, it may not be reinstalled. We traveled on a US military vessel to the temporary platform just this week. Even in calm seas, it clanged and shook. And since becoming operational in mid-May, it's been plagued with problems, only really functioning as it's meant to for around 18 days. Now, while on board, we saw some aid trucks roll into Gaza. In total, around 8,000 metric tons of aid, or just over 500 truckloads have made it in. But when you consider the fact that on any given day before the October 7th attacks, that 500 truckloads would get into Gaza every single day, this is barely scratching the surface. Now, a Pentagon spokesperson says that there's no date for when operations will resume on the temporary pier.
And keep in mind, the whole reason why the United States built this floating humanitarian pier right off the coast of Gaza is because Israel is not allowing enough humanitarian aid to get into the Gaza Strip through its areas of entry.
Yeah.
So our wonderful ally has put the United States in a position to build this ridiculous pier that isn't even working. US taxpayers are footing the bill for that, along with the bill for all the weapons that are being purchased by Israel. It's just.
Yeah. So it's over $330 million now because this is the third time we've had to rebuild it. The original cost was $230 million. So now that you've seen the gaslighting with your own eyes in the case of Joe Biden, oh, he's great, he's a dynamo behind the scenes, and then you see him on TV and he's melting. He can't finish a sentence, he's a giant disaster. And you see how they lied to you. And so thoroughly, all of the Democratic establishment, Almost all of the mainstream media, no, he's fine, he's great, he's a dynamo, etc. Now can you begin to see the gaslighting in other contexts? So wait, why did we have to build a $230 million pier to get food into an area that our ally controls? Why doesn't our ally just let us bring in the food and the aid through one of the ports that they control, one of the points of entry that they control? Because Israel won't let us. They slow us down. They say, oh, we got to inspect it. You never know. You could have one piece of metal in there that they could turn into a tiny, tiny little bomb. So we're not going to allow all this food in while they starve. Wait, they're not giving us permission? So we had to build a super expensive pier in the water after we already sent them $20 billion for the bombs that they're dropping on Gaza.
Correct.
So we have to pay for the bombs, and then we have to pay for the rescue. But even then, we're not allowed to until Israel gives us permission. And they're our special ally? Well, why did we have to ask permission from a special ally? Why did we have to build a pier to get around our special ally? No, massive gaslighting. The only reason why we have these policies pretending that Israel helps us and they're a beloved ally is because AIPAC spends $100 million in an election cycle. They just purchased the New York 16 seat by spending $14.5 million on one House race. An unbelievable number. And they just simply purchased it. And now everyone in Congress the next day, anonymous quotes telling the press, well, we can't oppose Israel because nobody wants to have $14 million spent against them. So they're gonna give Israel whatever they want. They're gonna rebuild that pier because Israel won't listen to us. They're gonna allow them to start the war in Lebanon. We're all gonna have to pay for it. And I don't believe them that there isn't gonna be any ground troops. Why do you think people are warning that it's gonna be apocalyptic? Because it's gonna spread. Once you invade Lebanon, then Iran is forced to come in. Once Iran comes in, good night, Irene. Iran's 4 times the size of Iraq. And we're off to the most disastrous war you have ever seen in your life. And if you think Trump's any better, no, the donors control everyone. Trump is saying now there's Haaretz reporting that Trump might let Israel annex the West Bank, which is catastrophic war, unbelievable, gigantic war, because Miriam Adelson is giving him $100 million.
Yep.
So you're damned if it's a Republican, you're damned if it's a Democrat, because the donors control all of politics in America. Bribery is legal, not just on this issue, on every issue.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.